Hey guys, it's Joe here, trying to keep warm in the cold northeast US winter. It's supposed to be warming up here soon. I can't wait. I wanted to do kind of this little impromptu video because a number of you guys out there have sent me a link to a video that a museum posted that is purportedly an original screen-used Knight Rider car. And you're asking me, well, is this legit? Why does it have the 2 TV dash, but only 1 TV in the dash? And, you know, you're raising all these questions. Why does it have white letter tires? All that stuff. So I thought I would put this video together and kind of give you the true facts on exactly what this car is, so you guys know. So let's go ahead and let's dig into this mysterious museum kit and if it is in fact an original from the show. All right, so some of you guys may be familiar with the Marconi Museum. It's out in Orange County, California. They have an incredible automobile collection, and they posted this video right here. And in the description they put, this is the #1 car of 6 used for the filming of the TV show and is on display among our collection here at the Marconi Automotive Museum, helping us help at-risk children in our community through the Marconi Foundation for Kids. And the video, it was just a quick 24-second video. That's all we see of this car. So we're going to go ahead and pause it here. And first I'm going to tell you that yes, this is one of the 5 surviving Knight Rider cars. They put in their description 6. It's actually 5. There are 5 confirmed surviving Knight Rider cars. As you guys know, we own 2 of those 5. Our other one is actually not far from this one. It's at the Peterson Museum in Los Angeles, and this one is at the Marconi Museum. So what is this car? You know, was this just a stunt car? Was it a hero car? What was this? And we actually did a video on this specific car on our channel a while ago, and there's a link down in the description below and in the corner of this video right now. But this particular car is in fact the original hero car that Michael Chaffee built. So Michael Chaffee, the father of KITT, he was hired by Glenn Larson back in April of 1982 to build the first KITT interior. He later came back and refined the exterior. But Michael Chaffee had 3 weeks, and he built the very first KITT dash in this car. The outside at the time was still a stock 82 black and gold Trans Am. That would later be converted. So this car that Marconi has was used in all 4 seasons of the show, but its use changed over the years. So for the first 2 years, it was the hero car, the nice, always clean, always shiny picture car that most of the time when you saw Hasselhoff getting in and out of KITT, it was this car. So for example, if we look at some screenshots, so this very first scene where Michael is introduced to KITT, this is in fact this car. Whenever we see them, you know, leaving the Knight Foundation, that's this car. Whenever, you know, we could just go on and on. Whenever you see in the pilot the car with the nice dash, that is this car. When the thieves take it, you know, that's this car. And like I said, this car was used all throughout. Every single episode in season 1 and season 2 was this car. Here it is again in short notice. So one of the easy ways to spot this car in the first season is this overhead console. So anytime you see Michael Chaffee's original low-hanging overhead console, you'll know that this is that same car. And then moving on to season 2, the car received some upgrades. The low-hanging overhead console was removed and replaced with the shorter one that you see here. Let me find a screenshot for you. I know of a really good one here. Let it pop up, and let's see. Maybe I know of a good one. Well, that's not the best one, but so this is from A Knight in Shining Armor, the more form-fitting overhead console this car received in season 2. But the show only ever had one hero car at a time. So pretty much any time you saw KITT's dashboard like this is that hero car, that same one that is at the Marconi Museum now. So flash forward to season 3 of the show, and as you know, KITT got an upgrade, a new dash, and some other upgrades like that. So in the show, or in the production, they actually built a brand new hero car. They didn't just upgrade this hero car. So starting in season 3, this car was no longer the hero car. It was actually changed out for another car. It's actually one of the stunt cars from season 1 was retrofitted and became the season 3 hero car, which left this car kind of just dangling out there, right? What are they going to do with this car that is now outdated? Oh, and by the way, one other thing I wanted to mention before I talk more about that is the other use of this car in season 1. It had kind of a dual role. It was a hero car, but then it was also the insert car, like as you see here. So the insert car was connected to a camera truck and towed so they could film the interior scenes. For season 1, this hero car was also used as the insert car. Not exclusively. They used a couple different cars for the insert car in season 1, but more often than not, they were using the hero car as the insert car. That would be changed in season 2. Season 2, this car was pretty much solely the hero car, and they had a different dedicated insert car, which is actually our insert car, which is at the Peterson Museum. All right. So what happened to this car in season 3? Well, let's go through. This is interesting how this the timeline of kind of how all of this came about. So season 3, they filmed episodes, well, for every season they filmed them kind of out of order. So for season 3, Night of the Drones was not the first episode to actually be filmed. It was the first one to air but not filmed. In season 3, the first one to be filmed was KITT versus Car, then Lost Night, Night in Disgrace, The Ice Bandits, and then Night of the Drones. Why is that important? I'll tell you. For KITT versus Car, the new hero car was not 100% complete yet. So for KITT versus Car, they were actually still using this Marconi kit as the hero car. So for both KITT and Car. So when you see, John Stanton driving Car, this is that same hero car. When you see Hasselhoff inside, this is that same hero car. And you can tell that easily because they never updated, the overhead console buttons. They never updated the dash. And don't forget, Car still needed to have this old style dashboard. So it made sense that they would kind of keep this car around to film this episode. The next episode, Lost Night, they did have the new hero car ready, but they still used this car as well for some insert shots, and they did kind of still use it as a hero car. So really, for Lost Night and KITT versus Car, they kind of had two hero cars. They had the original one and the new one, and they were both being used in the hero car role. But some of you guys may have noticed in Lost Night at the end, you see close-ups of Hasselhoff, but you'll still see the dashboard with the old-style PAMP switches. You'll also see, from far away shots, you can still see the old dash in here. This is the farewell episode of the original hero car. After this episode, after Lost Night, this particular car is not seen for a few episodes, actually. So, actually not a few episodes, one episode in particular, Night in Disgrace. So KITT versus Car, Lost Night, and then Night in Disgrace was the next one filmed. This car does not appear in Night in Disgrace because off camera it was actually being converted into its new role. Its new role was to be the right-hand blind drive car. So for those of you who aren't familiar with that terminology, anytime you saw KITT driving by himself, they used what was called a blind drive car. Well, not early on in the series. They eventually had a dedicated blind drive car. But what that was is they had a car where on the driver's side, they replaced the seat with a special stunt seat. The stuntman could get inside the seat and make KITT look like he was driving by himself. For season 2, they only had a left-hand blind drive car. For season 3, they converted this hero car to the right-hand blind drive car. So its sole use after the start of season 3 was for stunt driving blind. So Jack Gill or Andy Gill or whoever would get in the passenger side stunt seat and be able to blind drive KITT, pull up to Michael, and Michael could get in and drive off all without cutting the scene. And they achieved this with with a gear and sprocket, chains, secondary throttle and brake pedals, all mounted on the passenger side of the car, which we'll show you here in a minute. So the debut of this car as the right-hand blind drive car came in the Ice Bandits, in terms of the filming order. So in the Ice Bandits, this is the first time we see this same car now as the right-hand blind drive car. It's at the very beginning of the Ice Bandits when Michael calls KITT to come pick him up outside of the jewelry exhibit. All right, so this car now, that's its role. And it's funny because, in the first 2 seasons of the show, they kept this car. This was the nice car. You couldn't wreck it. You couldn't do any crazy stunts with it for the most part. They kept it nice. Well, starting in season 3, when it became the right-hand blind drive car, this car received damage. It had a replacement doors, replacement fenders, replacement hood, replacement bumper. Everything has been replaced on this car. The fog lights, the scanner, because it had been bashed and crashed quite a few times, which is unfortunate. Especially the episode I think of the most is Junkyard Dog. And in fact, I'm going to show you something. I've talked about this before on the channel, but if we go to Junkyard Dog, I want to show you something. Where is that? Right here. There's this scene where KITT is pushing the Junkyard Dog into the acid pit. And if you look real closely, you can see the hood is popped open there. If we go to the next scene, look at this. You can see how damaged the front end of this car is. So this car received some damage there. It also received damage in this scene when KITT comes driving through, flings the door open, and actually dented the door right here, which you can kind of see. So this car was definitely a stunt car by season 3 and season 4. So all that to being said, oh, and one other thing I want to mention is when this car was converted into the blind drive car in season 3, its hero dash was completely removed from the car, and it was instead replaced with another dash. And let me see here, let me show you kind of what the interior of this car looked like once it was converted. Here we go. So a fan took this picture on the set of Night of the Juggernaut in season 4 premiere, and you can see how different the interior looks. So they ripped out the hero dashboard, they put this half dash in, if you look here, you can see the stunt wheel on the passenger side, and you can see the gears and the chains, and the chain ran across to the driver's side steering column, and there was a sprocket welded on the steering column, and that chain was connected there. So when they turned the wheel on the passenger side, it would turn the gull wing on the driver's side. They also had, let's see if I have a picture of it. From the other side, it's kind of hard to see. Here's the wheel from the other side, and here's the gear. And you can see down here they had throttle and brake pedals down there. So it was really kind of an innovative design of what they did, but they definitely heavily modified the car. Although if you'll notice, the Season 2 Hero lower console stayed in this car. And so did the overhead console, stayed in this car throughout the filming. So, what happened to this car after the show ended? Well, a lot of you guys have heard us talk about Hollywood Productions and Carl Casper. Carl Casper and Hollywood Productions, they were the entity that was responsible for building the tour cars, the KITT tour cars in 1983 and 84, the ones that toured at your local mall and World of Wheels, Autorama car shows all throughout the U.S. and abroad. And some of the cars even ended up being used in David Hasselhoff's Night Rocker tour in Europe in 87. But when the show ended, so Carl had the license from Universal to build these tour cars. When the show ended in 86, Carl and Hollywood Productions were able to purchase some of the surviving Knight Rider cars. Most of them had to be destroyed contractually, but the ones that were owned by the studio were able to survive, and that's how we have 5 surviving ones today. So when Carl got this car and the other cars, as you can imagine, they had been sitting on the back lot for many months, maybe up to a year, and a lot of the parts from the cars had been stolen, taken off for souvenirs, things like that. And some of the cars, like this blind drive car, didn't even have a full dash in it. Well, Hollywood Productions wanted to tour these cars, and no one is going to want to see a tour car or a KITT car that didn't have its full dash in it. Well, almost no one. I would have loved to see that. Anyways, so what did Carl do and Hollywood Productions? They cast copies of parts. Let me back up. Whenever they got the license for the tour cars, Universal also gave them some molds to make the parts, to build the cars. So Hollywood Productions used those molds to replicate replacement parts for these cars of the stuff that had been missing to make them look like full and complete cars. No one cared about series accuracy or anything like that at the time. So that's why when you look at the inside of this car, you see, it doesn't look anything like what it looked like on the show, either as the hero car or as the blind drive car. So let me pull up some pictures of the dash so you can kind of see what I'm talking about here. Let me see if I find a general shot here. Sorry, like I said, we're doing this kind of live here. So here we go. So this is what the inside of the Marconi car looks like, the former hero car / blind drive car. So you can see here, they kind of did a hodgepodge of stuff. The lower console, they took a copy of, they had the mold for the Season 2 lower console, made a copy here, and then inserted a bunch of plastic discs to make it look futuristic. Of course, not screen accurate in any way. The dash, they took some electronics. I think these particular electronics were actually provided by the studio, but most of the electronics in the original cars at the time were ones that Hollywood Productions had created. They molded, this is the steering wheel, they molded and replaced. They put a TV in here. So that's why when you see this car, you see Season 1 and 2 electronics, but you see a 1 TV in there. And that's because, they were just trying to patch this stuff together. They didn't care about series accuracy. They just wanted to look kind of like KITT. All right. Same with the, the white letter tires on the car. Let me see if I have a picture of the white letter tires. Carl had an agreement, and I keep saying Carl, but Hollywood Productions had an agreement with BF Goodwrench and placed these radial TA 60Hs on all of the surviving Knight Rider cars. They were also on the tour cars too at the time. So some of the original cars, actually all of the surviving cars except one of the ones that we have here, has radial TA 60Hs on them. These are the original ones from 87. I want to change them out on our Peterson car for the correct Goodyear Eagle GTs, but AJ doesn't, so we're leaving them for now. But this picture is back when Carl owned this car. It was on display at the Cruise Museum in Auburn, Indiana for decades. And we had a chance, AJ and I had a chance to go out there and see it at the Cruise Museum. We spent 3 days with it, went all over it, documented the heck out of this car. And that's one of the ways we've learned all of the history of this car. You know, I was talking about the sprockets and the sprocket on the driver's side, how it connected the chain to the passenger side. And, you know, we got under there and we found the original sprocket is still on the driver's side steering column. Let me see if I have a picture of it. That's not a great picture. I do have a picture of it. I just have to find it. It's in here somewhere. But also, you know, you can see how they welded some reinforcement on the brake pedal. They did this to attach the cables. They had a cable that connected the factory brake to a secondary brake pedal on the passenger side. That's what this is. They welded this in, and the cable is the cable is still there, believe it or not. It's welded, or it's connected right here. Now the pedals aren't there on the other side, but the cables are still there. So, you know, stuff like that. Let me see if I can find this sprocket really quick, because it is a pretty neat picture if I can find it. Where is it? I should have prepared this. Well, if I find it here, I'll share it with you guys. But like I said, we spent days and days with this car, and there's so much evidence to tell us, you know, kind of the history of this car. You know, we were looking under it, we were under the hood, we were all over this car. It was a pretty special time. So fast forward again, and in 2018, the car left the Cruise Museum permanently. And it was shortly after that Carl sold this car. And he sold it to a gentleman in California, a private owner in California that we've had the pleasure of talking to a few times. And that gentleman has placed the car on display at Marconi. So unless something has changed in the last 6 months, the car is not owned by Marconi, but it's owned by this private individual. It's on long-term loan here. So the front bumper of this car is also not the original from the show. It was replaced. Carl molded cast a copy from one of the molds he had and put it on here. Now you might be asking yourself, what happened to the original bumper? Well, one of two things. Either it was damaged, and instead of fixing it, they just replaced it. Or, you know, part of us thinks, you know, we have that Hoff nose that just has the front bumper of KITT mounted on a board. It matches what would have been on this car. So we very well might own the original bumper from this right-hand blind drive car, which is kind of cool. So that's kind of the long story. I know I've just been going on and on. There's so much more to share about this particular car. So much more of its history, its use, its damage, its quirks. And I think we need to just dedicate an entire hour-long video to this car at some point. But what I want to do now was get that out there. Those of you who saw this post of Marconi Auto Museum, yes, in fact, this is a screen-used car. You can go to Marconi Auto Museum and you can see this car for yourself. While you're out there, go to the Peterson. You can see another Knight Rider car, another screen-used Knight Rider car, ours. It's a fantastic car, and I love that they have it on display for charity purposes, and they seem to be taking really good care of it. I really hope in the not too distant future to make a trip out and see this car again, because it's been a few years since I've laid eyes on this car in person. So there you go. If you guys have any questions, more questions about this car, put it in the comments below. Shoot us an email. Like I said, at some point, we're going to put together a massive video on this car because there's so much history with this thing. So thanks always for watching. Catch you soon.
Hello friends, it's me, KITT. When I'm not out fighting crime, I like to follow my friends at knightriderhistorians.com. Check it out.